I'm gonna throw your plate away. They're gonna hear us.
There you go. Let me move you up a little bit so they don't have to stare. Okay, there you go.
I go just raw dog it into the whole group from there.
Sure, I can go first. Like Dr. Two said, we have freshman representative applications open. We are excited. We would love to have you guys come work with our officer team. Obviously, I was the only officer who could make it today, so we would really appreciate the extra hands on deck. It would help out. But other than that, we have a volunteer event coming up this weekend. I have one more slot available if anybody is interested. It's super easy. You just show up at a food kitchen, you make food for people, you hand it out. It's honestly a really gratifying thing. It's probably my favorite event that we do all semester. And I always send it out to a select few people who have done it in the past for like 24 hours before I make it publicly known, so they get to those opportunities first because it's their favorite event. So we do only have one slot left for this one. The next one won't be till next month. So if that is something you are interested in, that is this Saturday from 9 o'clock to 1 o'clock. And I would love to have one more volunteer go with us. Other than that, this is Brad Hyde. Please pay attention. He's very good at what he does. There you go.
Well, hello, everybody. My name is Brad Hyde. I am the Community Liaison Director for Arisa Health. I'm going to give you a little bit of my bio and tell you a little bit about Arisa. As we're going through, does that mean I'm too tall? Never been my problem. I'll take questions afterwards if you have any. But I am a graduate of Arkansas State University. This drives me crazy. Sit down. There you go. Tip it. There you go. I have 2 degrees from ASU. I have one is in political science and the other is in public relations marketing. So those are my 2 degrees. My entire adult life has been working in healthcare. I've worked for St. Bernard's. I've worked for a hospital in Memphis for 11 years in the marketing department. I now work for Arisa Health. Arisa is the largest mental health and substance use company in the state of Arkansas. We cover 41 counties. We have 80 plus locations. We have 1,200 employees, and in our catchment area, there's 1.1 million people that we could serve within that region. So I've also worked on I counted this morning, 27 political campaigns from mayor of Jonesboro to the governor's office. I've written speeches for 2 attorneys general. I've worked on Senate campaigns and state representative, county judge, sheriffs, all those things. Austin said talk a little bit about work, but also talk about, my advice or my suggestion. And there's a few things that I've learned that I want you all to just hear me say. That doesn't mean that you'll do it. That doesn't mean that you'll understand it right now. But I hope maybe in 15 years, you'll be like, oh, that old guy told me to do this at that ASU thing one day. But there's a few things that I want to remind you of. One, nowadays, I'm sure you've all heard ROI, return on investment. Well, that's really not the case now in my experience. What the case now is, it's more ROR, return on relationships. We've heard in the past people say, it's who you know, but it really is who you know. And it doesn't mean who you just accidentally know. And why I say that is because you can create relationships. And for instance, you need, as an individual in the 21st century, you need to decide how you are going to market yourself. That's what you need to do if you're wanting to have a successful career. If you want someone who desires to have you come work for them or relate with them or partner with them or sponsor something with them, you have to have your own brand, so to speak. And you got to work on that brand. And listen, you're the perfect generation for this to happen to, because you have all the tools to market and brand yourself. But what I recommend you do is you think of your brand like my brand. I have my own brand. It's mental health marketing. That's what I do. I've done that for 30 years. I've spoken on 3 different continents because of this, Africa, Europe, and in America. And I have people seek me for speakership on these particular topics. In fact, when I leave from here, I'm going to work on a commercial at KIT, and when I'm done there, I'm going to a radio station to work on to voice over some commercials for events we're having. So what I suggest to you is that you start working on your brand. And it doesn't necessarily have to be something specific like I want to be, a CEO of a Fortune 500, because here's the second advice that I want to give you is that it is useless and unproductive for you to try to look for a job that pays you the most money. Now, I know that sounds ridiculous, like I want to make the most money, but your salary is not commensurate with your happiness. I've had jobs where I was paid, let's see, 5 figures. I've had jobs that paid me 6 figures, mid 6 figures. I've had jobs that paid very little. I mean, when I started, I graduated from ASU on a Friday. I was working at what's now St. Bernard's Behavioral Health. I graduated on a Friday, and on Monday, they moved me to the marketing department. And up to that time, I just kind of had an internship and a part-time job. So I was making roughly about $7,000 a year, part-time jobs and things like that. They offered me a job for $27,000 a year. And I thought I was rich. I thought I'd hit the jackpot. 6 months later, I'm like, they are screwing me. I'm not making any money here. This guy who works half as much as I do makes twice as much as I'm making. But I've learned, I've had those jobs that paid high that I hated every single moment of it. I've had those jobs. My job now does not pay as much as the job I had before, but I've been there for 4 years at Arisa, and I've not worked a single day those 4 years because it's not work to me. I enjoy the people. I enjoy the fun. So if I can give you any sort, if you leave here with nothing besides this, take this and use this, is that your salary is not the top end of your salary is not an indicator of how happy you're going to be in that job or your life. So don't focus on that. Focus on finding a career or a path that makes you happy, that you can be productive, because you can build that ROR with other people. Like, for instance, Austin's talking about this soup kitchen. Is that accurate? So the soup kitchen. Well, here's the other thing, is that you can make contacts anywhere. Anywhere you're at, you can make a contact. I'll take questions at the end, President.
We did have a student get an internship because of someone they met at the soup kitchen last semester.
Yeah, see, because here's the thing. What I've also learned is that the toes you step on today may be attached to the feet you have to kiss tomorrow. So be careful of how you interact with those people you're connecting with. Understand that this, janitor might be a CEO next year. The person sitting beside you right now might be someone who could hire you in the future, or it might be someone you want to hire in the future or work with. Those things are important, and it's about that return on relationships. Go places and do those things. Volunteer, at your church, at the soup kitchen, at the parade, for the Christmas parade. Those are places that you can build your brand. If you have your brand, you're going to have something for them to take with them when they leave. So it's about building your brand. It's about, you are a product. You are a Coke can. And you've got to start selling yourself as a Coke can. So you have all these, if you don't have a LinkedIn, you need to get a LinkedIn. If you have your drunken Friday night pictures on your Facebook and you're looking for a job on Monday, I would take down my drunken Friday night pictures, because I promise you, I'll tell you this. I had a discussion with my son when he was younger, when he was getting his first cell phone, and I said, "Hey, listen, one of the rules is you can't take naked pictures of yourself with this camera I'm giving you." And he goes, well, I would never do that. And I said, yeah, whatever. You know, you and your friends are going to think this funny. But in the future, and actually it's not the future, it's now, people are Googling you before they hire you. In fact, one of my jobs is to research all our administrative people and look through all their social media. When I say look through, I mean look through and see what all their associations are, what their pictures are. Because like I told my son, I said, you know, you don't want someone, you're trying to get a job and they go to their computer and type in your name and there's your penis right there on the picture. I've seen you get out of the shower, you ain't getting the job. So anyway, what I'm telling you is that you have to curate, what we call curate, your image, your brand. So what you put out there is what people are going to assume is about you. So why I tell you that is that everything you do is your brand. Those pictures you post, the places that you're at, the associates that you associate with, that is a component of your brand. And so if someone says, well, I wanted this job and they don't think I'm qualified. Well, what did you do in your brand that made you qualified? If it's a job at a not-for-profit, do you have a history of volunteering for things, for not-for-profits? Do you give blood? Do you go to the food bank? Do you help with the March of Dimes? Do you volunteer at the animal shelter, the food bank? All those things, that is your resume in the 21st century. I mean, I think I even taught a class last year about resumes, but your resume is just a tool that someone sits on their desk, and what it is both your presentation and then how they research you. And you can absolutely influence how they research you because you are curating your brand. So if you go and look at anything that has to do with me, you'll see my work, you'll see my family, you'll see my traveling, all those things, all those components have to do with my brand, have to do with how I sell myself to the public. And it might not be just for you to get a job. It might be for you to be on a board or be volunteer or ask you to be a speaker at a presentation. It's all about your brand. And you have to start, in fact, whether you know it or not, you've already started building your brand. Whether it's a crappy brand or it's a good brand, it all depends on what you've curated your brand with. And and there's no way to get around it. You know, once it's out there, it's out there. But you can curate, you can make sure that when someone sees your presence, and I don't necessarily mean your physical presence, but off your digital presence, they should be able to say, I know this person. Because what happens is, it's that ROR, return on relationship. We can create those virtual relationships with people. One thing that we've learned in healthcare, that we work real hard, and you'll see a lot of healthcares are very much about their digital presence, because we've learned that if people feel like they have a relationship with their medical provider, they're going to take their advice more, they're going to listen to what they say more, they're going to ask more questions. We realize that from research. So what we then have to do is that before they walk into any of our clinics, my job is to make them feel like they've already been in that clinic. So there's pictures of the clinic, there's the staff, there's things we do at this clinic. Because when they come in there, even though they've met no one in there, even though they've never stepped in there, in their mind, they feel like they know the people that they're going to meet. And so they're more receptive to whatever we suggest they do. They participate more, they come more. And the same's true about, Pizza Inn or the social or things like that. I'm sure, as we all do, if you don't know about something and you want to know more about it, what do? You go and Google it, right? Because you find out, well, that's what we do with people. Of course we do that. If we see somebody at the ball game, and we try to find out all their social media, like, what can I find out about? Do they have bikini pics or whatever it may be? You're looking. because that's what you're trying to ascertain, is gain more information about them. So what you have to go forward in doing is that you have to populate, you have to put that information. You're already doing it. You do it, almost absent-minded. But what I want to encourage you to do is start using that as a tool to present yourself to the world. Because guess what? You're already presenting yourself to the world. Go look. Some of you might go look at your page and go, oh dear God, I'm never getting a job. That may be the case. If that's the case, you need to clean it up. You need to start marketing in that way, and that can help your image. That can help your brand. I want you to leave here with an idea of what you want your brand to be. It may be a job you've always wanted. I want to be a neuroscientist. I've always wanted to be a neuroscientist. But there's nothing in your social media or digital presence that talks about neuroscience. You didn't volunteer. You're not researching any of that stuff. Anybody come to hire you or associate with you is going to go, they don't know anything about this. I'm going to have to teach them everything. And then you are a second choice to the person who they say, oh, look, they've done this research. That it makes you more attractive. You have to market yourself. You have to do it through video, through images, all those things, and build that relationship, that virtual relationship, so that you can then take advantage of the ROR, the return on relationship. And that's how you build those things. That's how you can make a difference in how you're advanced. If you feel like that you don't have enough stuff to put in there, if it's just, the football game and, what I ate at Lemonade House and all those things, that is not curating your digital footprint. That is not something that advances. And you're at the point where you need to start saying, this is how I'm going to look to the future. And that's how it is. And so those are the suggestions I have for you, is that you participate in that. And again, remember, like I said, is that, the toes that you step on today may be attached to the feet you kiss tomorrow. Because there are many people who are decision makers in my company that started, I did their orientation when they came in. But now sometimes I have to go to them and say, what do you decide? How do you decide on this? It's because they have advanced in their position, and now I need them. And if I was rude to them, if I treated them with disrespect, and that's the thing, if you teach people how to treat you, if you treat them with respect, they'll treat you back with respect. If they don't treat you back with respect, then that's not a relationship you need to be participating in anyway. That's not a return on relationship. So that's how you build these connections. That's how you get those. Find everything, even if you don't have time, at your part-time job. If you're a pet groomer at the grooming place, you might think this is not a productive place for me to get more information. Rich people need their dogs combed just like everybody else. So build those relationships with the people who are coming in to get their animal clean. I mean, it's as simple as that. When I started in college, I worked at a gas station. We just pumped gas. That's all we did. We washed cars and pumped gas. That was what I did when I was before I started doing my internship. Now there's probably 50 or 60 of those people that I pump gas with that I now interact with. But I interacted them at the gas station with a smile and with respect. And now I can call upon them to help me with things that I have these long-term relationships with. So I'm going to give you an opportunity to ask questions that you want to ask. And if you don't have questions, I'm just going to randomly point at somebody. So that's like President Austin up there. He insisted I call him that. So, does anybody have any questions? Do you have any scenarios that you want to ask about? I don't know about the virtual people, but anybody, go ahead. Yes, sir.
You told them they need to have a LinkedIn account.
Yeah.
LinkedIn typically involves a photo. What about that prom photo that they're using for their LinkedIn account? I mean, that's a snazzy photo.
I mean, that might be the last time you look good. So if that's the last time you look good, then I say use that picture. But also you've got to understand, again, like I said, curate. So, a 5-year-old picture might not be the best presentation that you're trying to do now. If you have long hair down to your shoulders and you go for a job interview with your hair cut short, I bet you 9 times out of 10 they'll go, "Oh, this is not what I thought you looked like," because they've already researched you. So that image, and images are the most powerful. If you think your words, no, I'm not going to read all that crap. 9 times out of 10 they don't read your resume. They glance at your resume. They just skim look for the big. The same thing's true with our digital footprint. We're much more programmed to look at images. So use your images to influence those people. Get pictures at the food bank, at the animal shelter. Get those images and populate your digital footprint if you're trying to look for a job. You had a question.
Yes. I'm very big
And I'll
on
get you.
I'm very big on donating blood. I'm actually going to the blood drive on Thursday. Have you donated blood or done anything like that, just as like a specific volunteer?
Absolutely. But
Yeah.
I like I said, I worked for a hospital in Memphis for 11 years. You can't get away without donating blood. But there were pictures of me giving that goddamn blood when I was sitting there because I wanted other people to come, and I use that as a tool to get more people to access. Because with Arisa, and I see your hand, I'll get to you. With Arisa, we have a reach. We have multiple media platforms, and we have a reach. I'll say this: I have a reach of 5 million people on our social media. So I can post something on our social platforms and reach 5 million people. You can probably reach 6, potentially even 7 figures of people that you're out there. So whatever you're wanting to influence, use those images to promote your brand. That's it. Yes, ma'am.
Should we have our social media accounts on public or private?
So this is my opinion. If you don't feel comfortable with putting something on your social media for everyone to see, then you shouldn't put it on your social media. Because there's a part of you saying there's something that someone's not going to be pleased with this. And so, but I'm going to put it on there anyway or not put it on there. I think all your social media, it should be absolutely public. It should be 100% public. And I think you need to be conscious of what you put on there. Because again, as I'm repeating over and over, you are building your brand. You are selling, the Amazon, what would happen if Amazon just went private? Only the people who subscribed, then half their business, more than that potentially, could be gone. Well, when you put your any kind of your social media on private, you are missing or leaving out a vast range of people who could access your information and use that. So if you're concerned about what someone would see on your social media, then you're not using your social media or your digital platform to its utmost for you. You're just using it to I don't know what you're using it for, but it is not. It might be to make your ego feel better. It might be someone more attractive to see, all those things. But that is not using it to promote your brand. If there's some,
I'll add to that. Same thing. When we look for people and we see they have their social media set up private, our first thought is, what are they hiding?
yeah, because your imagination is a powerful powerful tool, but you can use that to your advantage as well. Use their imagination for your benefit. When you post, when you do these things, understand that people are going to look at it. Let them draw good conclusions, not, as he said, wrong conclusions. Again, I know I'm a broken record, but again, you have to build your brand. So if you're doing something that you feel like, okay, Pepsi wouldn't do this, Coca-Cola wouldn't do this, then you sure as hell shouldn't do it. But if you think, oh, well, I don't care if this is on, here's my rule of thumb. If you're not scared for your mama, your grandma, and your preacher to see it, then it should go on there because you are building your brand. That's what you're using it for. Other questions?
Did you major in marketing?
That I had a double major, so it was one of my majors. Yeah. Any other questions? Yes.
You're out volunteering at the signature blood drive and taking photos, so you can share those. Do you think there's a line in there somewhere where employers or other people are just doing those opportunities for the photo bomb or for the wow?
I think you think they care more than they do. I think that we don't think that hard about it. We're not thinking, oh, well, look, I mean, if you have 34 pictures with the same poodle at the animal shelter, yeah, I think maybe you're overdoing it. But so, and again, let me just stress, that is not curating your brand. You are simply doing something that, one, it's repetitive. If you kept seeing the same thing over and over, you'd stop looking. And you miss an opportunity to be even more creative. Also, in those situations, one of the things that this is what I do, and I've realized my son also does this, is that we like to participate instead of just attend. You know, like we don't like to be just the listener or we like to be the person who gets in there and does that. And those are the people that employers and people who will pay you money to live your life, those are the people they're looking for. So when you're curating, when you're building that brand, understand that like with Austin's arranging this. Well, that is an attractive thing to an employer because it tells me that you're a doer, that you're not just a lazy person that just attends. You're a doer. We need you to go and do. So if you feel like you're being exploitive of a situation, then you're doing it right because you are exploiting those situations for your benefit. Now, I'm not asking you to do anything unethical or immoral or illegal, but there's no problem because guess what? Those people, if you have a significant presence, when you come to my office and you volunteered and you say, hey, volunteering at Arisa Health today, I not only get my eyes on it, I get your eyes on it. So now I have more eyes that I might not have had on my information and my brand that I've been curating. So very rarely is somebody going, and if a business comes to you and says, don't post anything about with respect, like we don't post any clients or patients in that. And that's a really big challenge for me as the marketer because it's hard to do a testimonial because we've got to get their permission. I mean, it took 2 lawyers and 4 contracts just to get someone to be who was a former patient of ours do a testimonial on a TV program in Little Rock. So it's a challenge, but you can do that. You can curate that and use that, and we love it. If they say to you, don't post anything here, then you might think, well, why not? What's going on here? Maybe I don't want to be associated in this situation with that. Any others? Well, he asked a question, so I'll let y'all go. Anybody in this middle? Yeah, every section. So, any other questions that you have? Any scenarios like I'm thinking of doing this? Should I? And again, you can come up to me afterwards if you want to ask any questions pertaining to that. But I think have I hit all the highlights? Look, I love my job. There's jobs out there. They're much more complicated. In the past, they may hire 5 or 6 people to do a job. Maybe now it's 1, and that's why I want you to build your brand. I want you to stand out in front of all those people that you either want to get a scholarship from or an internship or even a job or a relationship or anything like that. Because the harder you work when you're younger, the less you have to work when you're older. So that, when you're younger, you can work harder and longer and faster than when you're older and you have 1,000 more responsibilities that prevent you from doing that as well. So So again, the few things I want you to leave with. You are a brand. Whether you know it or not, you're a brand right now. Understand your return on relationships. Build those relationships and use them. Work harder when you're younger because you don't want to be working hard when you're older. And last but not least, remember that, you know, there are people here that you might think are insignificant that might be very significant in your future. If you treat the less than like the most, you'll never go wrong because they will remember you and they will seek you out and ask you to help them or do this. I've had so many opportunities where someone says, hey, you just helped my mother get into counseling, but hey, I've got this. We want to donate money to your organization for that. I'm like, yeah, let's go. Because that's that return on relationship. No other questions. President Austin, you don't have any questions? All right. Well, thank you for all letting me come and speak to you. Again, this is an example of me working on our relationship because I don't know if any of y'all one day will be a CEO, but I come to you and ask you for a donation to our organization. Remember me, I'm going to try to remember all y'all. So build that relationship, build that brand, and you'll be successful for the future. Thank you for letting me come.